Hello and welcome to the Whovian High Council number 58, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Yes, the first episode of Series 11, and it's Doctor Who Day or Jodie Day, thereabouts. We started this on JR Reviews channel because a lovely Scaramondas is feeling a bit under the weather because he's had a few tipples. So I'm just going to hand you over to JR Reviews because he is going to be hosting this lovely thing for you where we will be discussing the first episode of Series 11. So over to James.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is very common ground since we've basically done all this. But yeah, basically it fucked up on my channel. Sorry. So we are doing it here. So The Woman Who Fell to Earth was Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall's first episode. It's got a whole new style to the show, and I guess it can be perceived as just a complete and utter breath of fresh air, really. So we'll start with, I guess, the order. Luke, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, it was a solid start to the series, I'd say. It's definitely very fresh after what we've had for the last, is it 8? Yeah, 8 years of Moffat, really. Yeah, it is 8. So yeah, it's definitely been a long time since we've had a proper shake-up, really, because Moffat, who, while it has gone through changes, it's never really had like this proper shake-up, and it's never really felt too different until now, I'd say. So it's good that we have moved on from that era. I think good or bad, most people can agree that it had been the same for far too long, and now we are getting something fresh, something new, and Jodie has taken over the role. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy there, but I'm sure we'll get to discussing that shortly. But yeah, the episode itself, simple, but a enjoyable start to the new series, I'd say. And it definitely gets me excited for what's to come next.
And Ben.
Right, so I think the episode is visually pleasing. Like, you can tell that Chibnall has really thought out the episodes and planned them in that way, because it is basically a mini movie, and that's basically what Moffat tried to start with. Series 6 really was the opening episode, and then it kind of lost it, and then Series 7 it was basically we got a mini episode each week, and I feel like Chibnall's really grabbed that and said, right, we're going to go all out with new cameras and everything. And this episode, you know, it definitely felt very reminiscent of his Broadchurch stuff, like the way the landscape was shot, and obviously it incorporated Sheffield rather well, with like seeing the football stadium and the camera panning around to the transit van. So it was very good in that way, but it just felt traditional Chris Chibnall stuff. So it's quite nice to see Chibnall go, right, this is my flavour of Doctor Who. So my thoughts on the episode are a little bit different than all these guys. I found the episode average. I'll be honest. I found myself not really connecting with the episode as much as I wanted to, because I was really excited for this. But, you know, it's early days. I'm not saying that this is a bad episode at all. It's still early days. This is the first episode of a brand new era, so it's going to take a bit of time to adjust. Some viewers are going to take straight to it, and others are going to take a bit more time coaxing around to it, and that's kind of what happened with me, you know. So it was a bit of a slow burner for me, but I appreciate what the story was trying to do.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very reasonable response. Personally, I love the episode. I don't think it was perfect. I feel that maybe it didn't need to be an hour. Maybe it could have been 50 minutes, 45. But in those times, we did get a lot of character, and I think it is important to get a lot of character in your first episode. But overall, yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. There were twists, turns, and my jaw was basically on the floor the entire way through. It was scary. It was fun. If I was like 7 years old watching this, I would have been literally behind the sofa. There are some really creepy moments, especially with the main alien, which I can't remember his name.
Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw. Yeah,
Tim Shaw. We'll call him Tim Shaw. And he had the teeth in his face. I thought that was bloody creepy. This whole episode was Doctor Who versus the Predator, which is very fitting because there's a new Predator movie out this time. But it really was like Predator, because there's this alien that's came to Earth in order to hunt. And yeah, I think that was absolutely fantastic. Even when I first saw it, I was like, Jesus Christ, it is like Predator. But I liked it. new style, very well needed. I think Doctor Who's looked very samey for a long, long time. They tried to switch it up with series 10. However, I think they did kind of fall into old kind of roots along the way. And for once, I'm actually not expecting terrible episodes for a series. I'm actually expecting them to be good because Chris Chibnall, he is a very good writer, and there's brand new writers that I hope are good and directors. So we will just have to wait and see what the rest of the series is like. Because with the Capaldi era, it was always like, yeah, that episode's going to be crap. Oh, that one's going to be good. And
I think that was down to the Radio Times because we'd always get like little synopses, little breakdowns. Whereas this, we can't tell because we've only got the first 2 episode titles. So we're literally going in blind each week. So I think that's what makes it quite exciting, really.
I've actually got one more episode title now, but not going to.
Should we just say what it is? We're all going to find out eventually.
Okay. Yeah. It is, where is it? The Witchfinders. It's the one written by Joy Wilkinson.
So basically a PDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, a PDA.
We don't know which episode it is, though, like as in number-wise. But it's either 4 or 6, apparently, because
I think that one's meant to air around Halloween time. I think it's the 28th of October, that one. So wherever that falls on the calendar on terms of episodes.
So we don't know what the one after the Ghost Monument is. We don't know what that is.
No, not yet.
I think that's the Rosa Parks one, isn't it? Anyway, so.
Well, yeah.
I guess we can move on to the next topic, which is Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. We've spoke about the new style, a little bit of the story, but I think it's time to talk about the Doctor, as that is the reason anybody would watch a new episode of Doctor Who with a new Doctor. So, what do we think of Jodie Whittaker, Ben?
I think that Jodie, when a new Doctor comes in, it's got to be completely different from your predecessor, and she's definitely different from Capaldi. Like, there's no grunge. It's all, hey, this is all fun. This is all new. This is great. You know, it's like a rabbit in front of headlights, but she's just startled. But it's that startled amazement. And I really enjoyed her. I feel like she was very captivating. She held the scenes what she had. Especially the scene about her family. It just reminded me very much of the Troughton scene when he's talking to Victoria. But I think that it's still early days because obviously regeneration stories, you can't really judge Jodie because they're literally throwing everything in it because it's that's their first episode, so they're trying to make an impression. So that's why we get the weird zany lines, and it can come across a bit generic because as us fans, we've seen it quite a few times over the course of the years. But for somebody new, this is going to be hilarious and fun and exciting. And I really did enjoy Jodie. You could tell that she was trying to do all these different things. And by the end of the episode, you do believe, as soon as she was introduced, I felt like that's when the story kicked in for me. And you didn't question gender at all. Like, as soon as she hit the screen, you're like, yeah, that's the Doctor. And instantly you could see the Doctor. There was a spark, a connection there. So, yeah, Jodie, I really did enjoy her.
Excellent. And Luke?
Yeah, I'd say she made a very good impression too, right from the get-go. I think I was a bit unsure about some of the lines, but that's just her cooking, really. That's just her finding the role. And towards the end of the episode, I very much was with her as the Doctor. She was the Doctor by the end of the episode, and I look forward to seeing where she goes from there as she irons out those last few kinks. But yeah, I think just some lines like that tongue line, I've heard it quite a few times before. It was a leaked clip, and then it was an official clip, and both times it just never really took to me. I just never really took to that line of tongue.
It was very Tennant-y, Smithy, wasn't it? It was very 11th Hour when he was testing the different food. Yeah,
it feels very much like that type of doctory line, which I'm not really a big fan of, and I don't think Jodie really delivered it quite. I'm not sure if it's a line she could deliver well. It just felt out of place, and
I quite liked the tongue line. It reminded me more of Peter in Castrovalva, just this kind of dazed look, glossy eyes, and just kind of wandering about. And she kind of just has a little bit of a crash. wondering what the tongue is. So I quite liked that. It's like, Peter was mumbling weird things and picking apart Tom Baker's scarf. So I saw it as more a mix of classic and new, I guess.
I don't know. I think it was more so like also what came afterwards. She's like, tongue, smart boy, biology. And so like that whole bit.
I think that was her trying to process things, like her brain knitting together things, really.
Yeah, it's true. It just didn't quite work. But yeah, I think enough focusing on one line in a whole 60 whatever minutes. I think overall Jodie's performance was very good. She's definitely the Doctor. There's no doubt about that. And gender is mentioned once, like in that clip, as I said before. And I think it makes sense to mention it at least once, doesn't it? Just to acknowledge that it is a change.
If you turned into a woman, you'd be pretty fucking confused.
Yeah.
So it does make sense to mention it.
Like this is the first time, like you say, makes sense for her to acknowledge it and whatnot. But after that, it's moved on from pretty quickly, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy that they're not trying to sort of like twist it or anything. It's just that's what she is now. No big deal, and that's the way it should be done. And I'm glad they are definitely sticking to that.
Excellent. And I guess it's on to me now. I absolutely loved her. I've pretty much been on the Jodie bandwagon since maybe the Regeneration, because I think that's rarely when she sold me and proved that she could be the Doctor. She's just really interesting. I think she's a great ambassador for the show. And I think the new series has rarely had its fantastic share of good ambassadors for the show. Tennant was always doing things, Matt was always doing things, Peter was fantastic, and it seems Jodie is really embracing that. I love that video earlier in the week where she surprises the kids, and that kid just, I think, nearly faints just looking at her. I thought that was great. She's very fun and exciting. I saw 2 Doctors in her performance, and I think this is all you needed. It was that bit where she reprograms the phone. See, we're going to have to get used to calling the Doctor a she now, aren't we? But so we see when she reprograms the phone, and he goes, "Wait, all my stuff's on there." Not anymore. That reminded me completely of Eccleston. It was just that kind of like smarmy kind of, well, tough shit kind of thing. I really love that. And my other bit was Pertwee. And it was when she was building the sonic screwdriver, because that was something John would very much do. And I have no idea what Ben's going to react to this. It's probably seething right now. But just the way it's kind of making the sonic out of nothing, using spoons, it's very much like what Pertwee were doing, is make like these detectors.
I thought the spoon bit was kind of a bit of a nod to Capaldi in a way.
A little bit, yeah, with fighting with the spoons. But I'm pretty sure like a couple Pertwee's gadgets where like in a little bit of a scene, maybe Time Monster, or maybe it might have been in Terror of the Autumn. He's got like that little device, and it looks like there's kind of cutlery hanging from the sides.
I think the Time Monster, when he's got that bottle and he's got that thing whirring around where the Doctor and the Master used to jam their little things in classes, didn't they? Like their signals. So yeah, I can see that.
It's a nice little hard to that, and it's so long overdue that the Doctor builds their screwdriver, which is funny enough because this is the first time I've actually ever saw the Doctor build their screwdriver. But the Moffat era completely took away the intelligence of the Doctor by having the TARDIS do it for him, and I hated that. I always hated it.
I understood the 11th hour because it was the first time.
Yeah, the 11th hour was fine because that was a cutthroat story. You didn't really need to see that. But it was the Capaldis in, oh god, what was it?
Hellbent.
Mysterio.
Yeah, it was before. It was
Hellbent, wasn't it?
Song, wasn't it? Husbands.
Hellbent when we first got the new Sonic.
Yeah, it was the end of Hellbent. I hated that little bit. It was a great scene, but I just hated how it fizzled in the screwdriver. So I think it's really cool to actually see Jodie or the Doctor use their intelligence in order to build a device. I thought it was great.
One criticism I will bring up for that, though, is that while I do love that she did design her own Sonic, it looks like the Sonic that looks the least own designed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't look patchwork, is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, compared to the other Sonics we've had, maybe not the Capaldi one, but I think compared to all those other Sonics, it looks almost organic in a way. Like, it looks machine made, not woman made.
Yeah, woman made, a man made, a woman made. Yeah. Our terminology is changing right now. For the new Doctor,
Get a
I guess
shift
man
on.
made is still. I guess man made is still appropriate. It's a
Yeah,
general
yeah, but you know what I
sense.
mean.
Woman, man. No, anyway,
Yeah,
enough
it
of
just
that.
doesn't look like it was crafted by her. It very much looks like it was done in a machine and whatnot, really. That's my one
I think
criticism of
I
that.
think it looks cobbled. I think it looks cobbled together. I quite like that. Like the Doctor's devices can be usually quite slick, or they can be messy. Tennant's devices were always a little bit messy. So I'm completely fine with how the Sonic looks. I think it justified it perfectly, and that sequence was amazing as well,
Yeah.
just with the music and everything. The new composer, Segun, what's his last name?
I can't.
Is it Akinola?
Akinola.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
Mm.
Absolutely, completely. Just with the soundtrack throughout the entire episode,
You can
I thought that was
see,
fantastic.
yeah, you could see Murray Gold very much going bombastic towards the end there with all the speeches and whatnot. This was very much more subtle and subdued, and it worked.
Yeah, I guess this can kind of stay into like the Jodie topic, which we're currently on. That little speech, I'm completely used to a Doctor doing a big grand speech when they regenerate. So that kind of nice little line about how we can respect who we once were and look forward to who we want to be. I think that's all they needed. I kind of felt like it was a little bit flat when I was watching it, but as I've processed it, it's like, you know what, Doctor Who needs to get out of doing these stupid speeches, and that I think is perfect. Very akin to the classic series by having an iconic line, I guess, and just the weight of the line carries it into history rather than big loud music, center of attention of the room, and being a twat. Like
Yeah,
Matt
it
Smith would
lets you
often do.
decide, doesn't it? Like it's
Yeah,
just
it
the
does.
line and a bit of subtle music. Like the music isn't telling you how you should feel. It's not telling you this is a big epic moment. Pay attention. It's just
Yeah.
it is what it is. It stands by its own merit. It stands by the writing and Jodie's performance, not anything else that's
And
going on there.
And the music, it was grand, but it was also subtle as well. It didn't overpower the scene; it complemented the scene, and
Yeah,
that's what I think worked perfectly.
The two bits of music what stood out for me was when Jodie first appeared with that subtle bit of Doctor Who theme. I love that, and I got a bit of Silurian vibes when like the person was examining the garlic clove, if I'm going to call it, because it looked like a massive garlic clove. Because it just had that kind of unearthly music to it, and I quite liked that to it.
Did you notice how it has the Hartnell suds? I called them the suds. Do you know the wish sound at the beginning of the intro? It has that, and it fades out. I thought that was bloody wonderful. That scene was completely extremely well thought out. I was a little bit disappointed though in one thing, and it's just how it was a bit of a cheat cliffhanger, I guess, for Twice Upon a Time. Do you know what I mean? She kind of just
But we
lands
never
the
actually
train
got
and is completely fine.
Yeah, I get you. But it's one of those things where some things are left to our own imagination. Do you know what I mean? You know, not everything has to be, resolved yet. I think, that's probably a point we're gonna get back in later on in the series. Maybe that's a little character arc we're gonna find out when the TARDIS comes back.
Or maybe a Time Lord is completely kind of invincible for an hour or so. When the regenerators, because all the cells are still regenerating and healing and things like that, so it might not affect her in a way. If that makes sense.
Well, Tennant grew a hand back, so anything's possible.
Yeah. Exactly. It was a lovely little scene. It was a nice little break, and it made you smile when she appeared because it kind of makes you go, "That's the Doctor."
That was the bang, and that's when the episode for me started. I was like, right, that's Doctor Who now. Doctor Who's actually started.
Because this episode was different. Oh, go on, Luke.
Yeah, I would just say I like how it is. It focuses on the other characters first, so that it doesn't feel like a Doctor Who episode at first in the sense of what we're used to, because we are getting to know these characters like in their normal lives almost beforehand. But it's not like this grand montage or anything like we had in Rose and some of the other ones. It's just like a couple of simple scenes connecting all the characters. Some of them don't know each other well, but they are sort of like all tied together, so it makes sense how they come on this collision course to meeting Jodie in that moment. And Yeah, I do. I like how it sort of sets it up subtly. You had that nice, really quaint, like bike riding sequence, really heart touching. And I think it's just something different. I can't really explain it. It feels like it's a different show, and then Doctor Who crashes in, and then it becomes that. And we get those characters, we get to know about the characters rather than not really having much character there like we have had before with especially Clara, who was just a blank slate, really. Like, it's nice to have actual characters. And I think the fact that it's not a Doctor Who episode at first, it's this character drama, which obviously Chibnall does very well, works better for that sort of thing because it makes them feel real, and then you get Doctor Who coming in.
Yeah, and we don't. I was going to say before, this episode is completely different in the fact we don't even see the Doctor for 10 whole minutes, and I think it's about 10 minutes 30 she drops through. And what an entrance. I kind of think they left it maybe a little bit too long because I was starting to think, all right, where is she? Come on. But it was completely worth the wait entirely. Definitely one of the standout moments of this episode. And I think that's what describes this episode, its standout moments, because almost every part is a highlight and there's a part everybody likes. And yeah, I just think they kind of nailed the script. So we'll move on to the next topic, and that is kind of the companions. So what did we make of the companions? So we've got Yaz, who is a police officer, Ryan, who works in a warehouse. He's kind of a dead-end job, and it's both the bike is representative of what he's trying to do in life. You know, he's trying to get focus, both literal and metaphorical. So, and we've got Graham as well, who we learned towards the end is a cancer survivor, which I predicted when he said that. I didn't think I had much time left, and I think that's a little fantastic little bit to his character, and it nails that relationship with Grace. And Graham is sort of his step-granddad to Ryan. So what did we make of the companions? I guess we'll start with Ben.
Oh God, I'm trying to think. Oh, come back to me.
All right, we'll go to Luke.
So obviously there was quite a bit of secrecy around them before they arrived, and I think that's one thing that hasn't quite paid off. Like, it didn't need to be that. Like, what's called Graham being the step granddad to what's that?
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. Like, it didn't really need to be kept secret, and it's just when you see it, it just sort of like takes you a bit by shock because you weren't expecting it as such. But it's not a good shock because it's not really a dramatic reveal or anything. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, but that's not the fault of the episode. That's the fault of the marketing. One thing I did actually just think of. So remember Torchwood with the very first episode, how what's her face Susie was listed as one of the companions.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe they should have done that with Grace or Claire. Was it Grace or Claire? I don't know why I keep forgetting her name. Yeah.
It was Grace, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking maybe they should have done that for her so that the death was more shocking.
Yeah.
This is sort of a sidetrack, but yeah. Now onto the...
I thought it was shocking already. I had my jaw on the floor pretty much.
Yeah, it was.
But I do see what you mean.
But yeah, I think... I don't know. But because we knew she wouldn't be going with them, we knew something sort of had to happen there in a way, sadly. But yeah, the characters themselves, Graham is probably my favourite. He was great, and it's nice having a very different companion with him. You know, this older character who is very much just different, really. I think that's the best way to describe him from what we've had before. And you mentioned the cancer survivor thing. I think that is a very strong character trait. And, you know, it's someone who's not young, who's not starting out. You know, they've had their life and now they're getting a second chance at it in more ways than one, in getting to travel with the Doctor. And I look forward to seeing where he goes with that. And obviously also dealing with the loss of Claire before him, who is very much the type of character who would be up for all this travel. That's very much what she was doing, and he sort of would be doing it for her now. And I think that is quite moving. It's nice to have something there where it's not tying them to Earth like Russell T Davies did with the characters. Like, you have all the family there, and you often keep coming back to that with each different companion he had. Here, you got something a bit different where that character is there, and is still within Graham, but it's just something different, and I look forward to seeing what they do with that. Ryan, I also really liked. I like the whole bike thing as mentioned before, and he's all right. I think the acting at the acting of the other two, like Yaz and Ryan, wasn't quite as good as Graham. Like, it was just all right. It's nothing bad, but it's just nothing stand out either. I don't think it quite pulls on the heartstrings too much, but it doesn't make you roll your eyes at any point either. And then Yaz, I also quite liked. She didn't have as much to do in this episode, I feel like she's the one that was least served by this episode. So can't really have too much to say about her at the moment, but I did just like her. I think she's got enough energy, and obviously she did have that whole thing of she wants to do more with the police, but they're not really letting her at the moment. I think that was a decent character trait to start off with, and yet, like I say, she's got character. Unlike what we've had in the past, we've actually got characters now, funnily enough. So yeah, that's my thoughts on them three.
Very good. Ben?
I like that these people don't have a tagline like the impossible girl or the girl who waited. I like that they've got something very real behind them, and I feel like we already know where they're going to go, what character journey they're going to go on across the series. We're really going to explore Graham. We're going to see Yaz finally get something what she deserves, but she's going to get some self-worth. And obviously Ryan, he's going to, you can tell what's going to happen with Ryan and Graham, but, he's, by the end of the series, he's going to call Graham Granddad. You can see those type of things knitting together. But as a whole, I really did enjoy Bradley Walsh. Like, I thought that the relationship between her and Grace, is it Grace? Him and Grace, sorry. It is Grace, isn't it? It was believable. Like, it spent time to build that up. So when the death did happen, you were just going, oh, that, I didn't have any feelings for. So it was great that, Trish Chibnall is great at characters. That's one thing that we've learned over Broadchurch, but he's very good at building things up. And this is a prime example of that. So he built the relationship brilliantly. I think every supporting character was built up rather well. So I really did enjoy that. And Bradley Walsh, he did have a few funny lines about the bus drivers. That was quite nice. But it wasn't. It's nice to see Bradley Walsh not being, that funny sort of, cheeky chap. It's quite nice to see him doing something completely different. And I think that's going to be quite surprising for some people, seeing Bradley Walsh not cracking jokes and saying all the chase is on. It's quite nice to see him doing something completely different. I feel like he was sort of the second main focus, really. I think Ryan was very much the main focus for this episode for me. Like, I feel like Ryan was the one they focused on. I thought that he was pretty good. And Yaz, like Luke said, didn't get much to do within the actual episode. But I feel like we're going to see her develop and flourish as the series goes. This is still early doors, so we're not quite there in getting full characters yet, but I'm sure that episode 2 we're going to see them in a completely new environment, so it's going to be interesting to see how they react seeing these different things. So I think that's going to be exciting, because these are real people, so we're going to get real reactions, not characters who are just going to dismiss going, oh, it's an alien planet. We're going to see people amazed and bewildered, what's going on. So I think that's going to be quite exciting, but it's going to become a lot more a lot more nitty and sort of more human, I guess, instead of just, I'm on an alien planet. I feel like there's got to be more excitement going, wow, we've actually travelled.
I think one note I will have on that about them feeling more human that did sort of come to me while watching the episode was that first moment when the button pops up with the lines and whatnot. I feel it sort of felt like an unnatural reaction. Like, I get that it had to happen for the story to get going and whatnot, but she's like not really like taken aback at all. Like, would you really press something like that when it looks like maybe it could burn you? The way it looked. I didn't quite take that bit, but it's just the way the story gets going, isn't it? It sort of needs to happen. What did it even need to happen? Could the of the what's it called, onion-like thing just have dropped out of the sky anyway or something?
How do you mean?
Like, it could have just appeared there anyway. He could have seen it and then gone and phoned someone for it. Like, I
Okay.
get that it was sort of like that thing of him feeling guilty for pressing it, but at the same time, I feel like it would have been more natural because upon seeing something like that, I don't think many people or anyone would really just press it.
I think it's down to natural curiosity.
Yeah, but when it's something that looks like that, where it's just like those lines and everything, it looks like something that could burn you, even, doesn't it?
I think you
I'll
probably get
touch
a
it.
stick. I think you get a stick first.
Yeah, like that, I'd say. Like
Let's be
maybe if
honest, we
he'd done that
can't
just a bit more
spend 2 minutes like him poking a hole in the reality with a stick. It's like what, like Jodie. Do you know when she picks up Ryan's phone? There's no scene of her like can you put your passcode or put your finger on to unlock it, because you need to get on with the story. So I think it was fine. You know, we had that scene and it was like, I wouldn't touch it, and Jodie just goes, I would. And I think that's kind of all you need. It's just
Yeah, that was funny.
curiosity, and that's how Ryan reacted in that situation. So that was like one of the little moral dilemmas. Ryan was just like, shit, this is my fault. But I think that they were pretty much going to arrive anyway. But yeah, I guess my turn for the companions. I really love them. I think my favourite may be Ryan. I think he's just very human. They're all so human, and they all have their motivations for eventually wanting to travel with the Doctor. Because I have a little theory that Jodie kidnapped them. Because you see her just before she goes back and she switches that dial, doesn't she? I think that was her switching it so they'd all be teleported there, and we're gonna have this little Ian and Barbara and Hartnell type of thing. Like, you fucking kidnapped us. So I think that will kind of be a nice little thing for the
I did
continue.
have this thought a while ago, actually, along similar lines to that, of what if there's sort of like an arc where the Doctor pretends that the TARDIS can't fly itself like it did back in the day. I know she's pretending like, oh, I can't get you home just yet. And then you have that, and then eventually it all comes out, and you have this thing where she's it's well-meaning for the Doctor to do it and whatnot. She's enjoying traveling with these friends, as we're now calling them, it seems. And you can sort of like see that motivation there of why she would want to do that, but at the same time, that would be like this element of betrayal, and I think that could be a good arc if we do go there. I'd love that. Agreed. Sort of thing.
Yeah. There's already doors open for it immediately. Yeah. And back to what I was saying about the motivations of each character. The first one who we find out motivations is Yaz. And Yaz is a bit fed up because she is kind of stuck doing like civil disputes as a police officer. She wants to do more. So she's desiring more from her job and she can't get it. Ryan, again, what I said before, he needs focus in life, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. And I think at the end of the series, maybe if he's dropped back home, he's going to go up the hill and he'll ride the bike. I think that is how his character arc will end, if that happens this series or next series. And Graham as well, he has that second chance of life, and we get his motivation at the end when he reveals his story. And he wants to make Grace proud in that sense, saying, I'm not going to waste the second chance that you gave me. And it makes everybody so human. It's like the RTD era in a way, isn't it? Just how each little character had their own little thing, own little backstory. I really like that. Everyone's so human in this episode. They even try to humanize the people who die. So there was the guy who kind of kidnaps the egg kind of thing. He wanted to find out where his sister was because she was killed years ago by one of those creatures. We have the granddad guy who was sort of the crane operator, who kind of sat downstairs and was a bit of a security guard. He's talking to his granddaughter, and then he dies, and it makes you not want that character to die. And then there's the crane driver who lacks self-confidence, and he's got that self-confidence CD. It just makes everyone so human, and I really, really loved that. Again, Chris Chibnall, he's a character actor, and I really hope that will eventually translate to his villains, so we can get villain motivations. Because I was fine with the villain for this episode. It was very Predator-like. It was very cool, and that's all it needed. Its whole motivation was just hunting and the honor of that, like the Predator movie. And I
When
think
you're
that's all it
introducing a
needed.
new companion and three new companions and a new doctor, you don't have to go too in depth with the villain, I feel. So it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think the 11th Hour is one of the best Doctor introduction stories. Yet it's got, from a traditional sense, a crap villain, but it's the mystery of the crack that gets us involved, and it's kind of the mystery of like what the hell's going on in this episode that keeps us involved, and that's what I kind of like. Is it worth doing a little topic on the actual villain itself? Has anyone got any thoughts?
I think it's just a good like horror villain, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something quite gruesome for Doctor Who in a way. Like it froze jaws off and took a teeth out to then put it in its face or head or like that. But at the same time, it had sort of like that Tim Shaw comedy type thing. So I think it probably did work for the kids. I feel it frightened them, but didn't frighten them too much.
Yeah,
I think, and that's it. But yeah, you can also imagine that scene where he takes off the faceplate and then you have all those teeth in his face. It's all like the trophies. That'd put a few viewers off their Sunday night popcorn, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
But yeah, I quite liked it. I quite liked that it sort of like had that alien race going to it, where it did set that up with the that and whatnot with the teeth. And the fact that he was just killing people for fun of it, really. It's nice to have a not misunderstood villain. This is definitely someone who is very much in the wrong. But even though this very bad person, like this actual monster, when that guy trips him up so he falls off the side, you've still got Jodie going. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Teleport. So does that mean he died like after the teleport?
Oh no, I think he went back because I liked that little bit when Jodie was mad at him, just like you had no right to do that. That was very doctory, but I think he just did teleport away.
There was like liquid coming off his face, though, wasn't there?
Yeah, he was melting. That was also quite gruesome.
Was he? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he leaned forward.
Well, I guess he was kind of getting his DNA imploded in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I guess maybe he would have cancelled that when he got back. Because the Doctor wouldn't kill the villain. Well, especially the new series Doctor.
But at the same time, though, thinking about their species, obviously it's not explicitly said, but given that they've sent him there to capture this random human and whatnot, and that the whole thing is he can't be leader unless he does that, would they, if he comes back and has failed, they don't seem like the forgiving type as aliens, would they? They're not going to heal him up. They're probably going to let him die.
True.
But yeah, obviously that's more indirect. I don't know. But I guess Jodie didn't have too much choice. And like she said, she did give him a choice there. And yeah. I think one other thing, so like the idea that about hunting the human, that was something that I felt was a bit weak, like having this randomly selected human, like, and that's all it takes to be leader.
My kind of thing was he's been doing this for a while. Like, they probably go to all kinds of different planets, and maybe he was seen as the most worthy because he had gotten the most targets. And I think that's what Jodie was kind of saying, like, you've been doing this for years and to loads of people. So I think that will maybe come more clear on a rewatch or something.
Yeah, maybe. But just as it was, like, I'm not sure quite how it works. Like, a human's randomly selected, but how does he know which one it is, maybe?
Doesn't that
aliens
sort of weird coil thing sort of connect like a target or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it did, but he wasn't technically allowed that. He was cheating with that thing. But like, what is the challenge? It's not really a challenge in like fighting, is it? Or it's just orienteering, really. Like, you could find anything. It just happens to be a human that he then has to drag along with him.
Yeah, well, they do it to loads of other planets as well.
Yeah, true. I guess it's just pure luck, really, whether you get an easy hunt, difficult hunt.
Doctor Who is always coincidences. The Doctor always lands on something, and there's always somehow an invasion, yada yada yada. That's just traditional Doctor Who. I don't think that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Yeah. I feel like maybe they could have just done this is just a hunt. This is just him doing it for sport, for fun, rather than this is what he needs to do to be leader. Because it just
Okay, I
feels a
kind
bit
of
too
do.
easy.
I do agree there because I was a bit confused when they started talking about the target and Idlib. I was just a little bit confused there, but maybe that was just maybe too many ideas in the same story, which I guess
Yeah.
can get flashed out eventually. Ben, do
Yeah.
you have any thoughts on the villain, Tim
Um,
Shaw?
it's nice that we weren't scared of death. That Chibnall's like, right, we're gonna kill people, and I like that.
Yeah,
And I found that the monster's very tribal in that sense. That it kind of, I think it was the Red Indians, where if they killed somebody, they would sort of behead or descalp their person they killed, and they'd put it on them as a trophy to scare people off. So it kind of reminded me of that. And I think the reveal was very classic in that sense that it slowly built up to the monster, and the reveal, very much reminded me of like what they would do with the Sontaran in a way.
yeah,
And I
Yeah.
quite like the design, because it's used to temperatures a lot colder, so that's why you had sort of smoke and going off, because obviously to keep it cool. So I quite like that idea.
The design felt a little bit generic sci-fi for me until he took the mask off, to be honest.
It kind of reminded me of, the Sarah Jane episode when Sky's introduced.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, the
Kind
tin.
of reminded me of that weird sort of tin bat.
It's
Yeah.
funny you say that because do you know the intro when Ryan goes down to get his bike and he sees the thing and he sees the pod appear? That reminded me of Sarah Jane Adventures.
To be honest, the whole episode feels a bit Sarah Jane Adventures-y in a way.
Well, it's
It
got the
does in
gang
a way.
feel, hasn't it? It's
Yeah,
got that gang.
feel to like the characters, the way they're done, and obviously you got a female lead as well. I think a bit more gruesome with the monster, but yeah, it definitely has a Sarah Jane Adventures feel. Like in the way that characters are done as well, they're very real characters, same as they were in Sarah Jane.
Yeah, agreed. And again, the horror aspect, because Jodie's been doing these interviews for a couple of weeks, and she keeps mentioning it's scary. And in the back, and I was just thinking, is this series actually going to be scary, or are you just going to be Moffat and just say this series is going to be scary?
Especially with a lot of the promotional stuff where it's all bright colours and whatnot.
Yeah, I was just completely confused by that. But bloody hell, it was scary. Like I felt like on completely the edge of my seat, and I could just feel like the 8-year-old me just kind of just cower a little bit because it's so just menacing, this creature, and it's just a complete and utter threat. And just seeing what happens, and that bit where Grace is kind of saying it split his jaw open, and you don't see it. I love that because what a kid's just gonna be just like, oh shit, watching that, which is great, and that cliffhanger is terrifying as well.
No.
To quote Mary Whitehouse, that image will be left in the mind of a child for a whole week. Bloody good, because it's a bloody good cliffhanger.
Yeah, I like that we've got cliffhangers. But I was worried
Yeah, I
because
guess
it was
we
all
can.
single parters that we weren't going to get any, but hopefully we get quite a few like this.
It's a bit like what Netflix do, isn't it? Do you know, with the
Yeah.
Marvel shows? It will kind of be maybe a standalone episode, but then it has that thing at the end which goes and makes you want to watch the next episode. And it's very Hartnell-like, isn't it? Like how the Daleks, an Unearthly Child, the Daleks, and Edge of Destruction, they're all joined together, aren't they? Just
Well, it's like what Smile did with Thin Ice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the elephant.
And then everyone kind of like edited the Hartnell
Next episode, Thin Ice.
Very traditional Doctor Who that, and I hope they do continue that. Maybe not for every episode, because even like Jessica Jones or Daredevil, they do have like those definitive ends to like an episode or that cliffhanger. But I would love that for just maybe 3, 4, 5 episodes. I just think that's a great dynamic having these, because there's no storyline to keep viewers hooked. It's just going to be based on good stories and cliffhangers in the sense
and
of
also the character arcs
of Doctor Who. Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
and I feel like people are going to want to rewatch for that, I think.
Yeah. One other thing. Should we talk about the title sequence as well? Or lack thereof?
Yeah, this episode was like no other Doctor Who episode, as it had no title sequence. I believe what the intention of this was so this episode is like a whole pre-title sequence to Series 11 of Doctor Who, which I like. Some people were a little bit mad, but not being funny, you had warning over this. Come on. I'm pretty sure they said in DWM as well. Like, you had warning, and it keeps viewers hooked for the second episode. And there's a few other plot threads, like the TARDIS, and we'll speak about that after. But yeah, no title sequence, but we did hear that theme, and we got a little bit glimpse of what the title sequence may look like. Yeah. So, Ben, should we go to you for what do you think of no title sequence and the theme and the outro?
I will be honest, I was a little bit disappointed of no title sequence when it was first announced, because for me, that is one of the most exciting things, because I love the theme tune, I love seeing what they're going to do. So I was kind of disappointed, because that was kind of the main thing I was like quite excited to see. So when they announced it, I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shame. But I feel like we kind of got an intro when Jodie appeared, when we got the bit of when she appeared. I feel like that was our intro, if that makes sense. That was Doctor Who. And there were moments within the story, especially the beginning, it was like, okay, that's where the intro would be. You know, there were moments where your brain is full of going, okay, here's the intro, but it never actually appeared.
That's what I used to do as a kid with watching the Five Doctors, because I didn't know they aired as just a full movie kind of thing. So as a kid, I would time and imagine where the cliffhangers would be. So it was kind of like, it felt like that, but with the intro.
But as for the theme, if you've listened to the New Adventures of Bernie Summerfield, the Unbound stuff, it reminds me very much of that theme tune. Because that's very much a what if this French company did the theme, musician did the theme. So it's very much Hartnell-esque, and it kind of reminds me, the new theme tune reminds me of the Unbound Bernie Summerfield stuff. If you've listened to that, you'll understand what I mean. But the intro itself, the visual look, reminds me of Schalke, because it kind of looks like Pertwee with a weird mashup, if that makes sense.
And it even shapes into the Darth Vader kind of helmet shape of the Pertwee intro in the background, so you can sort of see that. Yeah,
but what a theme. Like, it's great to have the middle eight back. Like, I've missed that middle eight. So yeah, I'm really loving the theme, and I can't wait to see a cut down version for the intro. And that's one thing I'm really excited to see, you know, because it seems like we've gone off that red crystal motif for now. Like, unless that's in the intro. But it'd be interesting to see if that does come up, because obviously the crystal seems to be quite a big thing for this series. Obviously, the sonic screwdriver being a crystal. So I think we're not done yet with the crystals yet. But it'd be interesting to see how the intro is going to be.
Agreed. Luke?
Yeah, I was thinking, because we knew beforehand that there wasn't going to be a title sequence, but they said they were doing something a little bit different. So I wasn't sure whether that meant they were going to do something like Sleep No More, maybe. Not exactly that, obviously, but like just have the title pop up or something.
I expected Glorious, to be honest.
Oh dear. Yeah, luckily we had
I thought Glorious would have been funny, just to kind of piss people off.
As a one-off, I think that would be quite a cool thing to have done.
Yeah.
I love Glorious. I would have.
Joss, I would have just liked something like almost like that. I get the idea that it's the idea of it being a pre-title sequence to the whole era, but at the same time, I would have just liked something a little bit there, like maybe what they did with Day of the Doctor, with just the names popping up and then just Doctor Who logo and then Woman Who Fell to Earth, just like on the screen as we go through shots of Sheffield or something. Maybe just something a little bit there, just to give us something to actually laugh, and that would give it more of a filmic feel to it as well, wouldn't it?
I feel like that would have gone very Broadchurch then already.
Yeah, true, but I don't know. I felt like it needed something, because while watching it, because you're expecting a title sequence at some point, because that's sort of like ingrained in your head when it comes to Doctor Who. I almost felt like holding my breath for too long, if you get what I mean. Not that, obviously, actually doing that, but you sort of like, you get a bit tired, maybe, just sort of like wondering where it is. Even though you know it's not coming, subconsciously, sort of like you feel like you're watching a very long pre-title sequence, and therefore you're a bit exhausted. You don't have that chance to breathe as such.
Yeah, I agree. What I think maybe would have been better is actually have the intro at the end and then morph into the credits. because then it really hammers home the pre-title sequence aspect
Yeah,
of the
I agree.
episode. Just with her final, when we see them in space, and then it was straight into that tunnel, or the effects, or the ink style, whatever they're going to do or be inspired by. Show that, and then they can morph that into the credits, because it's a TV show. You do need to have credits.
Yeah. And that would have been, I'd prefer to have that and then take off that chunk at the end, whatever that was meant to be, where it's like it's that John Hurt thing all over again, isn't it?
God, I knew none of those people, like hardly any of them. I was like, who are they?
Yeah, like that's the thing.
I do agree there.
It's meant to be like the celebrity thing, but it doesn't work with us at least it didn't, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of little kids watching wouldn't get it either.
I think we were more paying attention to the theme than actually the visual.
Yeah,
what I think that was more so for adults or for TV fans, to show Doctor Who is this respected product, and it is going to have these very popular actors, because I watched this with a group and they were like, I know him, I know them, I know her, and I was like, I only know Lee Mack. So I think it's more just for people to take Doctor Who seriously, I think, and if that's what it takes, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I just felt like it broke the fourth wall in a little way, like just the way it was done. It just felt a bit cock-handed, I guess. Like it's just too much like Doctor Who itself going, oh, look at all these popular people we've got with us now.
Yeah, I do agree. And I just realised Doc Brown is going to be in this series, which is going to be quite funny. They called him by his real name, Ben Bailey Smith. But yeah, it's going to be Doc Brown, which I'm very looking forward to see what he'll do, because he's a very good actor.
I think what happens. I think the bits that excited me most at the end there was when we were getting to see like the costumes and whatnot, like the historical periods. They look well good. Like,
I really hope they are true historicals.
Yeah, like the new camera, the way it's all set up, like all the makeup and whatnot they've got going on, it feels like it's actually in history. That's very exciting.
And I guess we can move on to that in a sec, because I want to talk about the theme just for a little bit, but there is a little bit of how they've looked at other TV shows, and that'll be our next point, as we're going to have a few more and then we'll round it off. So with that theme, they use the original cuts of the Delia Derbyshire theme. So I think they actually used the original tapes that Delia used, digitalised them and shown them. That way the Sagan could have a little bit of a mix around. And man, this theme, it's creepy, which I think a Doctor Who theme should be. It's epic, which I don't always think is needed, but hey, it's always welcome, and it doesn't overpower the creepiness, and it's also, most importantly, mysterious. It's very 60s-esque, and it's very much what was kind of, we wish was the 2005 theme, with the kind of slowed down version that was in the "Do You Want to Come With Me" trailer, because that was going to be the actual intro. And I loved it. I absolutely loved this theme. I love the visuals in the background. They are very crisp and very well rendered. Do you remember in Twice Upon a Time, how with the first Doctor's time vortex, it was very crisp and very well rendered? It seems to get the same team to do that, and they've put an actual lot of time into
Wasn't that done by John Smith, the visuals for that?
Was it?
Yeah, he did the visuals for Twice Upon a Time, and I think Summer Series 10. I think he did the Cyberman 2-parter as well.
Bloody hell.
Very good.
So maybe had a little bit of a hand, or they took some inspiration, or just actually put a bit of time into it, because I will forever say the Capaldi intro is shit, and I think the Capaldi theme is not that great, because I hate the Capaldi intro. It's too fantasy-like, but
I feel like recently as well with the themes, there's sort of like that tendency to sort of like be like New Who itself with the 45-minute format. It's like that thing of, oh, we need to go fast, we need to be faster. Like, it tries to get more bombastic each time, but now we're getting something much more simple and much more classic in the title sequence as well. Like, I'm hoping that sort of thing is what we're getting, and we're not getting a generic vortex tunnel that we have been getting a lot recently, because that just it gets a bit unimaginative after a while. Like the first time, into the era, it worked, but as it is now, it just sort of, it's been there for too long. There's only so many variations you can do on it. You need something a bit different. And lots of other TV shows. Oh, sorry, you said.
Oh no, I'll only accept like a time vortex and the TARDIS flying through it if it does some unique things. So the Ink video on YouTube where you kind of see different planets bleeding into the vortex and Gallifrey, all these little planets. I think that would absolutely be fantastic.
Do you think we'll get 2 title sequences in the form of we'll have one with a TARDIS, one without a TARDIS?
Nah, I think
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, nah, I'm hoping we get something a bit slower at least.
Oh, because you mean the TARDIS isn't around?
Yeah, I feel like
I see what you mean.
We might just have a version without the TARDIS anyway, because the TARDIS wasn't in the title sequence until 10 years into Doctor Who, was it? With the Series 11 sequence. Season 11, sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't know, obviously it went away again during most of the 80s until the McCoy era.
Yeah, true.
So I feel like you don't necessarily need the TARDIS in the title sequence anyway. And I think that would be a nice change to get rid of that for a bit.
I don't think there's a reason to kind of be skeptical because bloody hell they nailed that theme, didn't they? So, and I was expecting it to be a bloody disappointment. Because I just felt, well, they've hyped this up too much. And I'm really going to be scared. I'm scared it's going to be the Capaldi theme or something like that. But no, perfect. I
was worried it was going to be something like... Sorry, you go.
Oh no, I'm just going to say one of the greatest Doctor Who themes ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I was worried when I heard about them rearranging the original theme that it was going to be something similar to what I think it was Nick Briggs did for Series 3 of the Eighth Doctor Adventures.
Yeah.
That was just a butchering.
It did feel a little bit Big Finishy or maybe fan made in the sense. So it has took inspiration from those who have kind of switched it around. But yeah, it's not like the Series 3 EDA theme, which did not suit the audience at all. Suited Batman March way better, so at least it got some use there.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with what we've got at the moment. Like, I need to listen to it a couple more times, but it's not a bad theme at all.
I wish they've done what Matt Smith in Series 5, the Doctor Who website, done, because it was on the day of release. I can't remember if it was before the episode aired or maybe the day after, but they let you listen to the MP3 of the new Doctor Who theme on the very close to the air date. Do you remember that, Ben?
Yeah, it was after, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been the day after. So I was expecting them to put it up afterwards, but I guess they're going to make us wait a little bit longer.
I think they're going to wait for the full intro. I think that's what they're probably going to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I guess we can move on to our next topic. And it's just kind of like, it's what Luke was talking about before. And I really like, with the style, they've took inspiration. Like, this is something that Moffat never bloody done. And it's look at your fucking market. And Chibnall's done that. And he's looked at TV shows and sci-fi shows and what makes them successful. The monster in this story was taken very, very seriously. That felt Stranger Things-y. I'm not a fan of Stranger Things, but I very much think it has a very lovely tone to that show, and they've implemented that here. There's a little bit of Broadchurch. It's a little bit like a gritty BBC drama, so like The Bodyguard or something like that. He's looked at what competition there is, and he's gone, we can do that for Doctor Who. Not as a rip-off, but as a way to further the product in a meaningful sense.
As something that fits in with the era of TV it's in.
Yeah, exactly. I tweeted to DWM because they're just like, what did you think of the episode? You can get featured. And I said, it feels like bloody 2005 again. Because it's always what the Doctor Who Confidential back in those days would hammer down, and it's, we're doing Doctor Who in the 21st century. Doctor Who meets 2005, and it felt like that. It felt like Doctor Who meets 2018 and the current style of media that is currently going on.
Whereas a lot of Moffat's Who, particularly when we get to Series 6, feels more like Doctor Who meets America.
Exactly. And they tried to switch up with Capaldi, which in Series 10, too late, really. And they went away from the fantasy bullshit, and they put into a more serious context, and with Capaldi being the lecturer, which was a bloody fantastic idea and really helped his Doctor. And that was a nice little shake-up, but it wasn't enough because the episodes were still very sporadic, and there were a couple flops. Oxygen, that crappy Haunted House episode, all that jazz, crap.
And just in the public eye, Doctor Who wasn't taken seriously.
Yeah, it was a kid's show.
I think they tried to ground it, but it never actually grounded itself with the university stuff.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Whereas I feel like Chibnall literally anchored it right from the get-go, with us literally, the first scene, it's grounded. And I feel like this series in particular is probably going to be the most series where you can actually just binge watch it. Like, I feel like this has a lot of binge watching ability to it.
Yeah,
I feel like
completely. It's those cliffhangers, isn't it? That's what Netflix implement, and again, that's Chibnall looking at his market.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of those clever edits either. Like, it's sort of like that Sherlocky style. Like, it still had that in series 10.
Oh yeah,
like that, and it just
they were pretentious.
Sherlock that and it doesn't even work in Sherlock, to be honest. But
no, it doesn't.
Like, that's the only place it was popular though. And in Doctor Who, it just doesn't work. It just feels like it's being done for the sake of it, and it didn't help to ground it at all. It just helped to make it feel like more of the same, even when it did switch up a bit. Whereas here, I'm not a fan of the YouTube intro thing. I don't know how he managed to get 11 likes and 12 dislikes from just 19 views. That never happened.
I thought that was a nice reference to us lot, to be fair.
Yeah, it's the smaller YouTuber. And I really liked how it started off with the Doctor, the greatest woman I ever knew. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. He really thinks Lord the Doctor. And they switch it and it's about his nan. And I was like, fucking hell, Chibnall, you've done it again. Because I thought that was a bloody fantastic twist.
What sort of cunt dislikes a video where someone's talking about their nan dying, though?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Ben's unfortunate poetry video, and a couple of twats that disliked that. I'd have answered them in the comments and then loaded them on dislike the video. I think there's still one.
Well.
But yeah, I think maybe like the 11 likes was just Jodie making 11 accounts.
No. Travelling back in time and doing it all at the same time for no reason.
Yeah. Well, she was closed for a week.
She must.
Yeah, that's it. Well, they did sort of almost joke about that, didn't they?
Well, that's going to be a big Finish short trip, isn't it? What she's done in between that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that she stuck around for that week. I like that they did have that week there so we could get to the funeral and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I really like. It reminds me of what Clive's speech. The Doctor has one companion. What's that? Death. That episode encapsulated that perfectly. That was the thing about Grace. It's like, whatever you touch. There's a line in new series, and it's just like, is that what happens? They die. And I think it was just very traditional Who.
Yeah.
For the next topic, Ice Lord 99 is just in the comment section, and he just completely nailed this point. And it's the ridiculing of the villain, but the villain's still a threat. I really like that because the villain had already proved himself. It's not him being ridiculed in his first appearance. He's still a threat. In fact, he gets ridiculed on streets and then he just gets obliterated. That's how you set up a villain and can still have a bit of a laugh with them. It's not like Kylo Ren, when in his first bloody scene, he gets his threat diminished completely. The villain in this story earned to be scary. It earned something. Everybody earned. The Doctor earned to be loved. The companions earned to be liked. They worked to make everybody do the job in relation to the audience correctly. And that, again, that's just another thing this episode absolutely nailed.
It's just a quick joke as well, isn't it, Tim Shaw? It's like not something that lasts too long. Is it before he takes off the helmet or not?
After?
Yeah.
It's up on the crane. Actually, wait, no.
No, it's on the roof when they're doing the coil thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like straight
up. He'd already kind of like earned his way to be scary.
Well, straight from
So
the
I
off, he
think
killed somebody, didn't he? Like he was mocking that person who he stole his stole his sister or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he mocked that person,
Yeah.
so you're like, oh damn, this is real. And he was like, oh, say it again, and then next minute he's dead.
Yeah,
Like
that's
there was
and he
no.
also kills that guy who's like chucking the salad at him. I think that
very.
was. But yeah, like while we're speaking about that rooftop scene, I'm not a fan of how that was done a little bit, just because of the
How
pacing
so?
and whatnot. I feel like like the fact that he didn't kill any of them, he just disappeared. Like, obviously they have the bomb,
Okay.
but I feel like they could have mentioned that, just like he could have said something like those bombs will be a much more painful death for you. But then again, it's not on a timer, is it? He set them off himself, so why didn't he kill them earlier, especially when it's like on that roof?
I guess he didn't see them as a threat because it seems that Squiggle monster kind of put it on them. So maybe he didn't know until the end. Really,
I think he had a bigger priority, didn't he? He was trying to get his prey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had time to like kill those others just for fun, didn't he? He didn't have to. So you think he would have killed them just for fun as well? And also the fact that they had enough like knowledge and what he knew that the Doctor wasn't human, and they obviously had the knowledge to disable his tentacle coil thing. So surely he would have seen them as a threat away, just a little one. And even if he didn't, if he kills those people just for fun, why wouldn't he kill these people who are also a threat, a minimal threat as he sees it? Even so, why wouldn't he kill them?
Eyes on the
Well,
prize.
I guess you can say that about any Doctor Who villains. The whole Dalek argument with Exterminate. It's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Maybe he was on a time limit.
You never really
That's
have the
a
Dalek
nitpick.
like just
It's a
walking away from them, do you? Or gliding away, I guess. Like just the way.
It's the different sense of how they could just kill them instead of saying exterminate. It's still the same thing. It's Doctor Who, and you're not meant to nitpick that stuff. Maybe he's on a time limit. Who knows? Did it detract from the story at all?
It was a little bit for me. It doesn't detract massively, but it just detracted from the pacing a bit, I feel. Like just how quickly they show up there and whatnot. The fact that the bombs are already out of them and whatnot. But I did like that they left that out for the twist at the end when he does do that. And then it turns in on himself because they've already removed them. But
yeah, but I guess you can just say, because we can't keep talking about this forever, it was just not his main priority and it was on time limit.
Yeah, true. One other, while we're on the point of these little funny nitpicks, this isn't something that bothered me at all. It's just something I found funny.
See, I think this kind of shows how strong this episode was. The fact it had that type of a plot. But the only kind of complaints you could have is just like little pacing issues and stuff like that. But one of the main storylines, I think, at the start of the series, and I really hope it does not get wrapped up in the next episode, I will be very disappointed, is the TARDIS. I love that they don't have the TARDIS. It's very much like season 12, and it's very EDA-like. Ben said the Witch Hunt's episode, very PDA-like. I think this whole thing of not having the TARDIS and use this makeshift teleport is very much like the EDAs when the TARDIS gets blown up and it doesn't get back into Lancaster Cell and they go on like these little adventures. And again, like season 12 with the Time Ring, which was something different. They take the TARDIS away in Ark in Space, and then it's not. They don't get back until Revenge of the Cybermen, which is at the other end of the series. What do we think about this little storyline? Because I had some people in my group saying, I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't see the TARDIS, but I was completely fine with it because it gives us a little bit of a unique mystery in order to go forward. So I guess we can start with Ben.
I think that it's good that, as a new viewer, you're not caught up in, what's a TARDIS, what's that? It's a mystery at the end of the day, and I feel like there's only so much you can do transporting them around, like spaceships, whatever. So I feel like it's not going to last that long. I feel like it's going to be wrapped up next week. I feel that we're going to see the TARDIS next week. But because then I feel like that's when the adventure begins. Like you say, this episode is a pre-title sequence. And I feel like Doctor Who properly begins next week. So bam, TARDIS is there.
Yeah,
I feel like there's only so long you could stretch out for. I feel maybe they could get away with doing it up to episode 3 and then having it be at the end there. But I won't be too bothered as long as they sort of like keep that style of storytelling where there is that cliffhanger at the end and there is sort of like something to come afterwards. So like something to look forward to next week. So I'm Like, I feel like there is only so far you can go with hunting for the TARDIS.
Like, Chibnall's been pretty clever with marketing because we haven't seen the TARDIS in a trailer. We've only seen it in pictures, and when it's in pictures, it's far above the sky, you know.
Yeah. Also, one other, I'm pretty sure they didn't bring that teleport with them, really, did they? Like, the whole apparatus stayed there. It was just, in fact, we see them in space just floating, free
Yeah,
floating.
it's just them hovering, yeah.
So there's definitely, they can't use that same technique again next episode.
And let's use that spaceship from the trailer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be the resolution to that cliffhanger. But
I love that it was almost like a continuous shot. The way that the box Graham's holding just kind of drops on the floor. I really liked that. It was very, very smooth.
Yeah, I agree. It's those production values, isn't it? It's shot up so much since the last episode.
I'm really interested for when they reveal the budget, and then can kind of compare that to Series 10, because I think they revealed the budget for that. I can't remember. So I think that's going to be really interesting. Also,
I want to know.
Figures.
I want to know what the low budget episode is. I want to know what the Love and Monsters equivalent is when the budget run out. I want to see, you know, how bad we can get. But I feel like the quality is going to be there. Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a very consistent, you know, visually great looking series. Like, I feel like we're not going to have a dud.
We're down to 10 episodes as well. So obviously the budget, there's hopefully won't be that low budget episodes, because that's one of the 3 or 2 that's been cut out, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough budget to go around for these 10 episodes. Whereas if you stretch that same budget across 12, then you would maybe need that filler episode.
I really hope by the end of this series, I'm begging for it not to end, because because with Series 2, I'm usually begging for it to end. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, just please end. I was like that with Series 8. I wanted to get to the end of it for Series 9, because everyone knew it was bloody Gallifrey. And Series 10, I was kind of begging for it to end a little bit, because the middle was a little bit slow. Good series, but a bit slow. So with this one, I think it has the potential for you to savour it and just kind of be like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and I just don't want this series to end.
It's that same thing of the them not revealing the episode titles all at once like I did before. Because you're allowed to focus on the present. Your focus is on the next episode. It's not like, oh, I can't wait for episode 7 where the Ice Warriors come back or whatever. It's just right now our focus is on what happens after that cliffhanger, where we're going in episode 2.
And that's Chibnall looking at his market. And if he consistently produces stuff like this, I think he'll go down as a very, very good showrunner, because it's been a while since people have been happy with the showrunner, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I guess we can go into positives and negatives to kind of round this podcast off, because we've been going for an hour and 12 minutes. So, I guess we can start with Luke, positives and negatives.
Yeah, positives wise, just obviously that cinematography is beautiful. Jodie, definitely a positive. Companions feel like actual characters, definitely a positive. And what's it called? Grace dying is sad, but a positive as well, because, you know, it adds a lot to the story of the characters, as particularly Ryan and Graham. And hopefully, you know, they have that moment where they're brought closer together by what happened here. And I think negatives, pacing-wise, just being a little bit off. You know, some scenes jumping a bit too much. Plot being a bit basic, but at the same time, it sort of had to be, really. You can't go too much in depth. I think that thing I mentioned before about that whole scene on the rooftop just being a bit awkward. And, yeah, I think that's it, really, for negatives. It's one of those things that I don't have many negatives with it, but that doesn't mean that every positive is 10 out of 10 amazing, if you get what I mean. But yeah, we'll get on to ratings later. But yeah, negatives, I could probably go through, pick out a couple more. Like, I wasn't a fan of the use of YouTube there, but I see why they did it. I feel like maybe they could have just had the same thing with the video, but not had the YouTube layout around it, if you know what I mean.
I liked it because I think it kind of grounds Doctor in the real world.
Well, you feel like it will date it?
It will age horrifically. it'll bloody age horrifically because YouTube changes their layout every bloody 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
I feel for now, in the now, it kind of works.
Yeah, I feel like
because I think it's very cringy when they have like their own websites and it's like Facetune or something like that. I think that's really cringy. So I'm happy they did do YouTube.
Yeah, I just feel like it was unnecessary. It didn't add anything being YouTube as such. I feel like you could have just had the same thing as just the video full screen, and you didn't have to have the video playing. It just did feel a bit. What's YouTube doing here?
A bit like Elton, what he did in Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, except Love and Monsters is perfect. That's what you mean.
But yeah, I don't. But yeah, that's just another little thing, and I like how that did work narratively though. About how you think, oh, it's the doctor. Oh wait, no, it's his nan. But yeah, I did like. I liked what it was. I didn't like how it was done. I guess is the best way to put it. And one last little note. It's not really a positive or negative. It's just a funny little thing I picked out was. Actually, one more positive before we get onto this. The other characters as well, the background characters, how they actually had character. That was good. Like, you felt sorry for the old man who's just been talking to his daughter when he's just killed off brutally. And, it's not just a random character. It is someone who actually has a little bit of depth to them. They're not important to the story. It's just a nice little detail on the service that Chibnall does very, very well. And also, I guess another positive would be just most of the dialogue. Some of it's a bit off, like the crane operator, like how it was comical, it was funny, I laughed at it, but at the same time you think he would be a bit more terrified in that situation, especially since he was rather terrified earlier on, and then suddenly he's getting quite brave now, just being like, oh, you's not important, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
As I was saying quickly, you have that guy leaving that video on his computer for them to watch and everything, and they discover it. And then it cuts away to the doctor spending God knows how long actually making the sonic screwdriver. Like, presumably it took a bit of a while. And then when she's done making the sonic screwdriver, after however long it took, it's then that Yasmin and Ryan come in to say, oh, we found something on the computer. Like, what were they up to that whole time?
Yeah.
It's not a problem I have with the story. It's fine. It's just a funny little thing that is sort of like lost in editing, I guess. The fact that they spent an hour just watching that same video on repeat or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a funny little thing I picked out. It doesn't bother me. I just think it's a bit amusing. So yeah, those are my positives and negatives, and a little extra, I guess.
Okay, Ben?
I feel like it did everything what it set out to do. It introduced the characters, the new team, a taste of what this new Doctor's gonna be. I feel like it's what an introduction episode should do. It's not relying. What I found quite nice is that it didn't rely too much on the past. There was no real references to previous series gone by. If there was a reference, it was very subtle. I feel like this episode in particular, I'm probably going to enjoy a lot more on rewatch. Now we've talked about it and looked at things more in depth. But yeah, I think visual effects wise, you can tell that they've stepped that up. The music I really did enjoy. I enjoyed the latter half of the story. I feel like the setup, and I feel like this is my main problem with the episode itself, was it was just incredibly a bit of a slow burner. It took a bit of a while for me to actually start to click into place with the story. And I think that's what anyone would have, really, because I think we're so used to having Doctor Who in a set way, in a 45-minute format, and having a story going bang, bang, right, we're here, let's do this. It was very much methodical, going, these are the characters. Oh, there's the Doctor, there's the alien. Here's some supporting character. It was very methodical in its way and plods along decently in a way. But yeah, I think Jodie was great. I loved her speeches about the family, like I said earlier. But yeah, I feel like I'm definitely gonna enjoy rewatching this. I feel like this is I think I'm gonna enjoy it better when I rewatch it. I feel.
Excellent. So are you kind of feeling a bit more positive about the episode now? You've let it digest and kind of had your expectations Understood.
I want another watch before I actually say, yeah, that's my definitive rating.
Yeah.
Before I actually go, yeah, before I actually make a firm judgment, I feel like as Jodie as a doctor, not going to judge her until halfway through the series, or maybe possibly the end of the series. I feel like it's still early doors to judge these characters. I'm not one of those people who's going to say Jodie's perfect, because I'm sure she will be perfect in time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's completely fair.
Yeah. One thing I will also say that you've just reminded me of when you say about the little to no references in this story. That's another good thing because Deep Breath was very much a Matt Smith story, wasn't it? In a lot of ways.
Completely.
This feels like an entirely fresh era. It doesn't feel like a soft reboot. It's not like trying to ease you in to it because I guess it's because most viewers didn't really watch much of Capaldi, sadly. And that era isn't universally loved. But yeah, so at the same time, it doesn't have that draw of it that it needs to ease viewers in. It needs to grab them and drag them along with it. That's what this story did. It didn't try to ease people in. It grabbed them and ran with it.
Yeah, completely. So I guess my positives and negatives. Positive, Jodie, she's found her doctor. Nice little writing tributes, just the way it reminded me of Eccleston and Pertwee. And it made me feel a little bit teary-eyed, just imagining John do that. John was just a fantastic human being ambassador for the show, and his doctor very much encapsulated everything Doctor Who was about, including the little making things. So I really do love when we see little tributes to John. And of course, this whole channel, Pertwee Smith 11, is pretty much dedicated to John Pertwee. And very rightly so, because sometimes he just doesn't get the recognition he deserves. So it's lovely to see little inklings back into the past. But everything else, smiling Jodie, laughing, being the optimistic character, but with a little bit of sternness and attitude, I think that's just completely her. And she very much done what Matt Smith done. And it's let us see little bits of past Doctors, but mostly be your Doctor. And that's why I think the 11th Hour is... up to this point, because I've not rewatched it, and I think another point we were going to talk about is the 11th Hour has rewatch value, while I don't think this episode may have much rewatch value, because the 11th Hour is very fun and put it on, very fast paced, but this one, it's a bit of a slow burner, quite complex, and we know all the twists, so maybe it won't be as rewatchable, but again, like the 11th Hour, it completely defined a Doctor in however long it had. We may have not got like the rooftop scene of I'm the Doctor and basically run, but it didn't need that. We are, I think, moving away from the speeches, and lines are going to be iconic through their own weight. So Jodie's Doctor, completely thumbs up from me. I saw Gargantua Apple tweet before. When she appeared, I just didn't think of the female Doctor. I thought of the Doctor. And completely that. And I think Jodie is bloody sick of being referred to as the female Doctor. As I was watching an interview with her the other day, and she was just kind of like, another question about female Doctor, first female Doctor. When can I become the Doctor? And I'm more paraphrasing, I'm not putting words into her mouth there. So I think she is getting a little bit frustrated, and hopefully she will be proven as the Doctor, because she is in my eyes and in the eyes of the many fans. And I think if everything... and I think everybody should be open-minded if you've not accepted her already, or just at least view her as the Doctor, because she just completely is. Companions, fantastic, emotional. Kids with kind of severe dyspraxia like Ryan has, I think it's like, I'm not weird. I am quite normal. I can look up to somebody like that, which I think's brilliant. It's what Doctor Who should be. It should be. We should have human struggles as well, which is something RTD done perfectly. And I feel this series is developing that perfectly with Graham's cancer and this dyspraxia, and it gives obstacles to overcome, both emotional and physical, and also metaphorical as well. So I think we've got a perfect setup for a series. No TARDIS, bloody perfect. I do not want to see any bloody more pictures of that leak, because I've avoided it pretty stealthily. So I'm just going to say, if you post that, you're a prick, because you're making somebody lose the opportunity to watch that reveal on screen. a lot like what we got in like Matt Smith's reveal, both of his TARDIS reveals actually.
I'm going to be honest though. With the TARDIS, I feel like because of how updated the cinematography is, how much better it looks now, you could get away with using the Capaldi TARDIS and it would still feel completely fresh.
Maybe, because I think Jodie just suits Capaldi's everything, including the outfit. She looks great in that outfit. But with the TARDIS, it's like Capaldi, do you know what I mean? Capaldi was like his TARDIS. It could last for years, so much more potential. But they had to go because the new showrunner unfortunately, we just needed some fresh things. So I think I've heard that the TARDIS maybe looks a bit crap. But you know what? The TV movie TARDIS, the most beautiful TARDIS, in the photos of that, which is just a camera with flash on, it looks shit. The reason it looks amazing is because of the cinematography in that episode, and we should wait until that happens. The Tennant set, you can really much tell this in Series 4, it looks shit, but in Series 1 it looks absolutely fantastic, and it's pretty much the same for pretty much nearly all the TARDISes. I understand Capaldi's, though, looks bloody great anyway. But wait and see what the TARDIS looks like when it's shot as it is intended, because I think we've had a little glimpse of that in Radio Times with the pink and the purple, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it will look like. So we do have things to look forward to, which again are part of my positive. More positive, just the little things of making everybody human. Negatives, I do think they maybe left it a little bit too long for the Doctor to appear. And when she'd appeared, and after they got off the train, I think I think things kind of rarely slowed down until she built the sonic screwdriver. So maybe it wasn't worth having this episode an hour, but it gave us more character. And if it gives us more understanding for the characters and the story, then maybe that's a good thing. We will see what is to continue. Maybe other negatives, maybe the rewatchability. I don't see this episode being as rewatchable. But for a bloody first episode, watching this live with a group of people and us all having our jaws on the floor when it happened, bloody good job, I think, because I don't think people, the modern audience, I don't think rewatches series unless you're a hardcore fan of it. So maybe they are going to sacrifice rewatchability, who knows. But do you know what? I'm bloody convinced for getting that DVD or Steelbook or Blu-ray, whatever.
I think talking about the rewatchability quickly, sorry to cut you off there, but it might be one of those things that's better. Well, it's not good to just rewatch isolated. Maybe when we've got the whole series, if it sort of like continues with this trend of character arcs building over time, it might be a better rewatch when it's rewatched as a whole and you can sort of like binge the whole thing and you get those character arcs like in full. I think maybe that's the rewatch value they could be going for rather than just an isolated rewatch. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, completely. And that is the mystery of the series. We don't know what's going to happen. It's exciting. I'm done with my positives and negatives, so I think it's fair to do ratings now. Luke, what would you rate this episode on your first watch? Because we're not going to give our definitive kind of answers, but what did you think after you'd watched that, and what would you rate it on a first watch basis?
I think overall, I very much enjoyed it and very much enjoyed something fresh, something new. It wasn't perfect, but then again, it's got its flaws, but what it really did do was really got me excited for what's to come. And I think that is the main thing you should have with that first episode. Because I'm going to be honest, back with the pilot, as in the Series 10 first episode, I stopped watching for a couple of weeks. I didn't watch Smile on airing. I didn't watch Thin Ice. I'd sort of like just given up for a bit. This time around, I want to watch the next episode. I want it now, really. And that's what this episode does well. And hopefully we will continue to do that, but have better episodes as well, episodes that will have more of that own merit to them rather than just saying up. But, it's the first episode. I could forgive it for that. And I'm excited to see what comes next. So I am going to give it a 8, I will say. Close to a 7. But I'm going to be generous and give it the 8 for now.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly fair. Ben?
Like you said, this is a to-be-confirmed rating. I think that I'm very excited to see what happens with the series. I think that it's very fresh and exciting. and something very different, and something what Doctor Who needed to keep it going, keep it plodding along. So my rating so far is a 6 out of 10. So yeah, but I will say this: the show is in very good hands,
and that's really the perception that you want to have, because again, a Doctor's whole era can't be defined on the first episode. Time and the Rani. And then McCoy went on to become one of the best Doctors ever. Not everyone's first episode is perfect. I was saying to Geeks Hammer before, there are times in Robot I think Tom Baker is unbearably annoying, because they try to get the tone of the series and shove it in one episode, and sometimes it doesn't gel well with people. It's why I'm not really that big of a fan of Robot. Power of the Daleks, I don't like it. It takes great skill to define a first episode and with a good story. So only ones that have done that, let's be honest, Spearhead from Space, the TV movie was perfect, and the 11th Hour and Christmas Invasion. But those four,
I don't class
stories,
Christmas Invasion really. I don't class it as an introduction.
I do, but I can see what you mean because we don't see Tennant. But in terms of episode and plot, I think it held up really well. When I watched it, I went 9 out of 10, but I think I may just put to be confirmed, just do an 8 rating just to be safe. I will be doing a more in-depth discussion, hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to hope I can do that. And on my channel, Jericho Reviews. So that's a little plug on Ben's channel.
That's fine. I do enough of it already.
So I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. Which I think is fair. First, once you've talked about it, and I think this has been a good discussion because there's a lot of meat in this story, isn't there, to just dig into. While I enjoy the pilot, I think it's not that rewatchable. I tried to be watching it, I was a little bit kind of bored. So there's just been a lot of meat to talk about in this. We've talked for an hour and a half, just about over that. Any little things that we just want to get off our chest just before we go off air?
I just want to say thank you for everyone staying up watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And especially if you came from the original stream as well, which bloody fucked up.
We apologise.
But next Sunday, hopefully, we'll be on Mondas Productions, if all goes well. So we'll be back on there next week. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should.
You were unhappy about the technical difficulties earlier. Write in to Edge Hill University, is it?
Anyway,
send a complaint. Get that Wi-Fi sorted.
We're going to wrap up now, and we're gonna just say goodbye to everyone. Just reading the comments now, everybody seems to have the same opinions as us. Some a little bit upset about something. Some are really kind of like they're just enjoying the episode and what's to come. So I will see you next time, and bye-bye.
Goodbye.
See you later. Bye-bye.